Captain Dong Ho stood on the bridge of the New Seoul, watching the stars through the main screen. His ship was humanity's first vessel to leave the solar system. The mission was simple: make peaceful contact with the aliens who had been sending radio signals toward Earth for the past 5 years. The ship hummed quietly around him. Deep in its engine room, antimatter mixed with regular matter in carefully controlled reactions. This gave the New Seoul incredible speed and power. To humans, antimatter engines were normal technology. They had been using them for 30 years, to travel between planets in their own solar system. "Captain, we're getting close to the meeting point," said Lieutenant Hana from her station. She was the ship's navigator and had been tracking their course for 3 weeks. Dong Ho nodded. "Any sign of the aliens yet?" "Not on our screens, sir, but they said they would meet us here." The crew of 200 humans waited nervously. This was the moment their species had dreamed about for centuries. They were about to meet intelligent life from another world. Earth's leaders had chosen their best diplomats and scientists for this mission. Everyone hoped it would be the beginning of a wonderful friendship between species. Suddenly, the ship's sensors started beeping loudly. "Captain!" shouted Ensign Boram from the science station. "I'm detecting multiple ships approaching fast. They're huge!" The main screen changed to show space around them. Dark shapes moved toward the New Seoul like giant metal whales. The alien ships were at least 10 times bigger than the human vessel. They had strange curves and spikes that made them look like deep-sea creatures. "This is impressive," whispered Dong Ho. "They certainly know how to build ships." A crackling sound came from the communication system. Then a voice spoke in perfect English, though it sounded strange and mechanical. "Human vessel, this is Ambassador Thexmol of the Valari people. We represent the Galactic Council. Please prepare to be scanned." Dong Ho straightened his uniform. "This is Captain Dong Ho of Earth's ship New Seoul. We're honored to meet you. We come in peace and hope to begin friendly relations." There was a pause. Then Lieutenant Hana called out urgently, "Captain, they're scanning us with some kind of energy beam. It's very powerful." "Let them scan," Dong Ho said. "We have nothing to hide." The scanning continued for several minutes. The human crew watched, their instruments carefully, but the alien technology was unlike anything they had ever seen. Finally, the scanning stopped. Another long pause followed. When the alien voice came back, it sounded shocked and frightened. "Human vessel, what is your propulsion system? Our sensors are detecting impossible energy signatures." Dong Ho looked confused. "We use antimatter engines, Ambassador. They mix antimatter with regular matter to create energy. It's quite efficient for space travel." The communication channel went silent. Dong Ho could hear urgent alien voices talking quickly in the background, but he couldn't understand their language. They sounded very upset about something. "Did I say something wrong?" Dong Ho asked his crew. Science Officer Yunji shook her head. "Antimatter technology has been around for decades, Captain. There's nothing special about it." Finally, Ambassador Thexmol spoke again. His voice was now cold and formal. "Human vessel, you are hereby classified as a Class 9 extinction threat by the Galactic Council. Your species possesses reality-breaking technology that endangers all life in the galaxy." The human crew looked at each other in shock. Dong Ho stood up from his captain's chair. "Ambassador, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Antimatter is just a fuel source. Many of our cargo ships use it. It's perfectly safe when handled properly." "Perfectly safe?" The alien's voice rose higher. "You speak of universe-destroying forces as if they were campfire fuel. No civilized species has dared to harness such power, Yunji whispered to Dong-ho. Captain, I think they're more primitive than we thought. Maybe they don't understand antimatter, physics. But Ambassador Thexamol continued speaking, and his words chilled the human crew. The Galactic Council has voted. Humanity is too dangerous to be allowed into galactic society. Your solar system will be quarantined immediately. Any human ship that leaves your star system will be destroyed without warning. Wait, Dong-ho called out. Let's talk about this. We can explain our technology. We can show you that it's safe. There is nothing to discuss. Your species has chosen to play with forces that destroyed civilizations before. We will not allow you to bring that destruction to the rest of the galaxy. The alien ships began to move away from the new Sol. Dong-ho tried calling them again and again, but they would not answer. Captain, said Hana quietly, long-range sensors are picking up massive fleet movements throughout this region of space. Hundreds of ships are heading toward our solar system. Dong-ho felt his heart sink. Humanity's first contact with aliens had gone terribly wrong. Instead of making friends, they had somehow made enemies simply by using their normal technology. Set course for Earth immediately, he ordered. Maximum speed. Sir, at full antimatter burn, we can reach Earth in 6 days, replied Hana. Do it. And send a message to Earth Command immediately. Tell them we're going to have visitors, and they're not coming to be friendly. As the new Sol turned toward home and accelerated to incredible speeds, Dong-ho wondered what humanity had done wrong. Their antimatter engines were clean, efficient, and safe. Every human child learned about antimatter in school. It powered their cities, their ships, and their space stations, but somehow, the rest of the galaxy saw this technology as terrifying. The aliens acted like humans were carrying around nuclear bombs instead of fuel tanks. Captain, said Yunji, I've been thinking about what the ambassador said. He mentioned that this technology destroyed civilizations before. Maybe there's something in galactic history we don't know about. Dong-ho nodded grimly. We'll have to figure that out later. Right now, we need to warn Earth that a quarantine fleet is coming. The new Sol raced through space toward the solar system. Behind them, the alien fleet was already moving to surround humanity's home. What was supposed to be the beginning of humanity's golden age among the stars had instead become the start of something much darker. Dong-ho looked at the stars ahead and wondered if his species would ever be able to convince the galaxy that they weren't monsters, or if they would have to fight for their right to exist among the stars. Admiral Kyung-min watched the massive alien fleet approach the edge of the solar system. From the bridge of the Earth's shield, he could see hundreds of enemy ships on his screens. They moved in perfect formations like schools of fish in space. How many ships are we looking at? He asked his intelligence officer. Over 800 confirmed vessels, Admiral, replied Commander Taejun. They're maintaining position just outside Pluto's orbit. It looks like they're setting up a complete blockade around our solar system. Kyung-min had been expecting this ever since Captain Dong-ho's urgent message arrived 3 days ago. Earth's government had immediately called up every available military ship, but humanity's space fleet was tiny compared to what was coming toward them. What do we have to work with? Kyung-min asked. 57 combat vessels, sir, plus about 200. Civilian ships with basic weapons. The civilian captains volunteered when they heard about the situation. The admiral nodded. Earth's people might not have a huge military, but they had courage. Civilian cargo haulers and passenger ships had quickly armed themselves to help defend their home world. Sir, called out Lieutenant Wu Jin from the communications station. We're receiving a message from the alien fleet. Put it on the main screen. A strange creature appeared on the screen. It had 4 arms, purple skin, and large yellow eyes. When it spoke, its voice was deep and threatening. I am Commander Zolthak of the Vrexen Empire. Your species has been declared dangerous by the Galactic Council. You will surrender your antimatter technology and submit to Galactic authority, or we will use force. Admiral Kyung-min stepped forward. This is Admiral Kyung-min of the Earth Defense Fleet. We pose no threat to anyone. Our antimatter technology is used for peaceful purposes. We're willing to talk and show you that we're not dangerous. Commander Zolthak made a sound that might have been laughter. Your primitive species doesn't understand the forces you're playing with. We have fought 100 wars across the galaxy. Your tiny fleet cannot stand against the might of 8 allied civilizations. We don't want to fight, Kyung-min replied. But we won't surrender our freedom either. Then you have chosen death, Zolthak said, and the screen went dark. Immediately, alarms started ringing throughout the human fleet. Admiral! Shouted Tae-jun. Enemy ships are moving into attack formation! Kyung-min activated the fleet communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Kyung-min. The aliens have chosen to attack us instead of talking. We're going to show them that humans don't give up easily. Remember, our antimatter engines give us advantages they don't expect. Use your speed and don't stay in one place too long. Captain Hana, now commanding her own ship called the Busan Rising, was leading a squadron of fast attack vessels. She watched as the massive alien ships began firing energy weapons toward the human fleet. All ships, follow my lead, she called to her squadron. Let's show them how fast antimatter can make us move. The alien commanders expected the tiny human ships to charge straight at them like brave but foolish warriors. Instead, Hana's ships did something the aliens had never seen before. The Busan Rising suddenly accelerated to nearly half the speed of light in just a few seconds. The antimatter engines could provide incredible thrust that no other technology in the galaxy could match. One moment the ship was floating in space, and the next moment it was racing past the alien fleet faster than their weapons could track. What just happened? Commander Zolthak demanded from his flagship. Where did that ship go? His weapons officer looked confused. Sir, our sensors show it traveled 15 million kilometers in 30 seconds. That's impossible with any known technology. But Hana wasn't done. She brought her ship around in a wide circle and came back toward the alien fleet from a completely different direction. The enemy ships tried to turn their weapons toward her, but she was moving too fast and changing direction too quickly. Fire antimatter torpedoes, Hana ordered. The Busan Rising launched 6 small missiles. Each one contained a tiny amount of antimatter that exploded with the power of a nuclear bomb when it hit the alien ships. But more importantly, the explosions were completely unexpected by the enemy. Their shields aren't designed for antimatter. Explosions, reported Hana's science officer. The energy signature is different from their normal weapons. 2 large alien ships were badly damaged by the attack. Commander Zolthak couldn't believe what he was seeing. How are they moving so fast? How are their weapons so powerful? All across the solar system, human ships were using the same tactics. They would accelerate to incredible speeds, attack the alien fleet, and then disappear before the enemy could fight back. The aliens had powerful energy weapons and strong shields, but they couldn't hit targets that moved faster than anything they had ever encountered. Captain Sang-ho, commanding the destroyer Soul's Pride, used his antimatter engines to accelerate straight up from the plane of the solar system. From above, he could see the entire alien formation spread out below him. "Look at them," he said to his crew. "They're arranged in perfect battle formations. They expect us to fight like they do, in straight lines and organized groups." Sang-Ho brought his ship down toward the alien fleet like a diving hawk. His antimatter engines let him change direction and speed so quickly that the alien gunners couldn't predict where he would be next. The human attacks were causing serious damage to the alien blockade. Ships that had seemed invincible were being destroyed by tiny human vessels that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. "Sir," Zolthak's communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from several of our ships. They say they can't fight enemies that move like this." Commander Zolthak was furious. His fleet was the pride of 8 different civilizations. They had conquered dozens of worlds. But these humans with their impossible technology were making his ships look helpless. "All ships, fall back to defensive positions," he ordered. "Stop trying to chase them. Form a protective wall and wait for them to come to us." But Admiral Kyung-min had no intention of charging into the alien guns. Instead, he ordered his ships to continue their hit-and-run attacks, appearing suddenly to damage enemy vessels and then disappearing again before they could be destroyed. After 6 hours of fighting, the alien fleet had lost 30 ships, while the humans had lost only 5. Commander Zolthak realized that his massive advantage in numbers meant nothing against enemies who could move faster than his weapons could track. "Send a message to the Galactic Council," he told his communications officer. "Tell them that human antimatter technology is even more dangerous than we thought. We're going to need a much larger fleet." The first battle was over, but both sides knew it was just the beginning of a much larger war. Dr. Boram worked frantically in the hidden laboratory buried deep inside the moon. The facility had been built in secret over the past 2 years, and now it was humanity's most important research center. Around her, dozens of scientists and engineers worked day and night to improve human technology. "How are the new shield tests going?" asked Engineer Tae-jun as he walked into Boram's section of the lab. Boram looked up from her computer screen, her eyes tired from working for 18 hours straight. "Better than expected. By using antimatter in our shield generators, we can create barriers that are 10 times stronger than our old ones. The alien energy weapons barely scratch them." Tae-jun smiled for the first time in weeks. "That's excellent news. What about the weapon upgrades?" "Even better," Boram replied, pulling up new data on her screen. "We figured out how to make antimatter cannons that are much more efficient. Instead of using antimatter just for explosions, we can create focused beams of pure energy. They'll cut through alien ship hulls like paper." The research facility on the moon was hidden from the alien blockade by being built inside old mining tunnels. From the outside, it looked like an abandoned industrial site. But inside, humanity's brightest minds were working to level the playing field against their enemies. In another section of the facility, communications specialist Eun-ji sat surrounded by alien radio equipment. She had been intercepting alien messages for the past month, slowly learning their languages and understanding their communications. "Tae-jun, you need to hear this," she called out as he walked by her station. He came over and put on a pair of headphones. Strange alien voices spoke in languages he didn't understand, but Eun-ji translated as they listened. "They're talking about something called the physics laws," she explained. "According to what I'm hearing, the Galactic Council has strict rules about what technology species are allowed to use." "What kind of rules?" Tae-jun asked. Eun-ji pulled up her notes on the computer. "From what I can understand, there are certain technologies that are completely forbidden. Antimatter manipulation is at the very top of the list, but there are others too. Something called reality bending, time manipulation, and dimensional travel. Tae-jun frowned. Those sound like science fiction. Maybe to us, Yoon-ji said, but the aliens seem to think they're real, and they're absolutely terrified of any species that tries to use them. She played another intercepted message. This one came from a high-ranking alien commander. The humans are exactly like the architects, the voice said in the alien language. They use forbidden technology without understanding the consequences. We cannot allow another architect event to happen. Who are the architects? Tae-jun asked. Yoon-ji shook her head. I don't know yet. But the aliens mention them a lot, and they always sound scared when they do. Meanwhile, on Earth, diplomat Yoon-ji worked on a completely different problem. While her namesake on the moon was intercepting alien communications, the Earth-based Yoon-ji was trying to find allies among the alien species. She had discovered that not all aliens supported the blockade of humanity. Some species seemed to be forced to participate by the stronger members of the Galactic Council. Her job was to secretly contact these potential allies. Ma'am, said her assistant, Lieutenant Ji-woo, we're receiving a response to our coded transmission. Yoon-ji looked up hopefully. For weeks, she had been sending subtle messages toward alien ships, hoping to find someone willing to talk privately. What does it say? Ji-woo handed her a translated message. It's from someone called Nimvara of the Kithara people. She wants to meet in secret. Yoon-ji felt excitement and fear at the same time. Where? There's an asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter. She suggests meeting there in 3 days. It was a risky plan. If the meeting was discovered, it could make the situation much worse. But if Yoon-ji could find alien allies, it might be the key to ending the blockade peacefully. Back on the moon, Dr. Bo-ram made an important discovery while studying alien technology they had captured from destroyed ships. Tae-jun, look at this, she called out excitedly. I've been analyzing their engine systems. They use something called plasma fusion for propulsion. How does that compare to our antimatter engines? He asked. Bo-ram pulled up a comparison chart. It's not even close. Their plasma engines are maybe 5% as efficient as our antimatter systems. And look at this. Their maximum speed is less than 10% of what our ships can achieve. Tae-jun stared at the numbers. No wonder they can't keep up with our ships in battle. But here's the really interesting part, Bo-ram continued. According to their technical manuals, they know how to build antimatter engines. The technology isn't beyond them. They're choosing not to use it. Why would they limit themselves like that? Communications specialist Yoon-ji looked up from her station. I think I know why. I've been listening to more alien transmissions. They have something called the Technology Council that decides what each species is allowed to use. She played a recorded message from an alien bureaucrat. The Kithara people have submitted another request to use improved fusion technology, the voice said. Request denied. Their current technology level is sufficient for their needs. They're being controlled, Tae-jun realized. The Galactic Council isn't just keeping dangerous technology away from everyone. They're keeping all advanced technology away from the weaker species. Dr. Bo-ram nodded grimly. Which means they see us as a threat not just because of our antimatter engines, but because we prove that their system of control doesn't work. The pieces were starting to come together. Humanity hadn't just accidentally used dangerous technology. They had broken the most important rule in galactic civilization. They had advanced beyond what they were supposed to be capable of. We need to get this information to Admiral Kyung-min, Tae-jun said. If the aliens are fighting to protect a system of technological control, then this war is about much more than just antimatter engines. Dr. Boram was already preparing her report. I'll have new weapon and shield designs ready for production in 2 days. But we need to understand what happened to these architects that the aliens keep mentioning. Communication specialist Yoon-ji pulled up her most recent intercepts. I'm getting closer to understanding that. From what I can tell, the architects were a species that used antimatter technology thousands of years ago. Something terrible happened to them, and the current Galactic Council was formed specifically to prevent it from happening again. What happened to them? Tae-jun asked. I don't know yet, Yoon-ji admitted, but whatever it was, it scared the entire galaxy so badly that they've spent thousands of years making sure it never happens again. The hidden research facility continued its work through the night. Humanity was learning that their war with the aliens was much more complicated than they had first thought. They weren't just fighting for their freedom to travel among the stars. They were challenging the entire foundation of galactic civilization. Diplomat Yoon-ji piloted the small stealth ship through the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter. Her heart pounded as she searched for signs of the alien vessel that was supposed to meet her here. This secret meeting could either bring humanity, new allies, or could be a trap that would end her life. There, whispered her pilot, Lieutenant Hyun-woo, pointing at his scanner. Small ship hiding behind that large asteroid. It matches the energy signature we were told to look for. Yoon-ji nodded. Take us in slowly, and keep our weapons powered down. We want to show we come in peace. As their ship moved closer, they could see the alien vessel. It was much smaller than the warships in the blockade fleet, with smooth curves and no visible weapons. It looked more like a research vessel than a military ship. Human ship? This is Naimvara of the Cathara people, came a voice over the radio. The speaker sounded female, though Yoon-ji couldn't be sure with alien biology. This is Diplomat Yoon-ji, of Earth. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Come aboard my ship. We have much to discuss and little time to do it. Yoon-ji and Hyun-woo docked with the alien vessel and stepped through the airlock. The inside of the ship was designed for creatures much taller and thinner than humans. Everything had to be adjusted for their smaller size. Nimvara was waiting for them in what looked like a meeting room. She was indeed tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. Her movements were graceful, like a dancer. Please sit, she said, gesturing to chairs that had been modified for human use. I apologize for the secrecy, but what we are about to discuss could be considered treason by the Galactic Council. Yoon-ji sat down carefully. We appreciate you taking this risk. We're hoping to understand why the galaxy sees us as such a threat. Nimvara's expression became sad. Your species has no idea what you have stumbled into, do you? You use antimatter technology as casually as my people use fire for cooking. Antimatter is just an energy source, Hyun-woo said. We've been using it safely for decades. Safe for now, Nimvara replied. But the galaxy has seen what happens when antimatter technology is pushed to its limits. The architects nearly destroyed all life in the galaxy before they disappeared. She activated a holographic display that showed a map of the galaxy. Large sections were marked in red. These are the dead zones, she explained. Star systems where the architects conducted their experiments. Nothing lives there now. The stars themselves have been changed in ways that our science cannot understand. Yoon-ji studied the map with growing horror. How many systems? Over 3,000. Billions of worlds that once supported life are now empty because the architects pushed antimatter technology beyond all reason. Nimvara changed the display to show historical records. The architects were much like your species. They were curious, inventive, and they advanced quickly. They discovered antimatter technology and began using it for everything: power, propulsion, weapons, even attempts to manipulate space and time. What happened to them? Yunji asked. No one knows for certain. One day they simply vanished. But before they disappeared, they left behind warnings. They said that antimatter was just the beginning, that they had discovered forces that could unravel reality itself. The room fell silent as the humans absorbed this information. Finally, Hyunwoo spoke up. But we're not the architects. We use antimatter responsibly. We're not trying to destroy anything. Nimvara nodded. I believe you. But the Galactic Council cannot take that risk. They formed specifically to prevent another architect event. They control technology throughout the galaxy to make sure no species ever becomes as dangerous as the architects were. That doesn't seem fair, Yunji said. Punishing everyone for what one species did thousands of years ago. Fair or not, it has kept the galaxy stable for 3,000 years, Nimvara replied. Until now. She changed the holographic display again, this time showing the current political structure of the galaxy. The Galactic Council is controlled by 5 major species. They have the most advanced technology and the largest fleets. Below them are dozens of client species like my own people. We are given limited technology and protection in exchange for loyalty and resources. That sounds like slavery, Hyunwoo said bluntly. Nimvara's expression became bitter. It is slavery, but with comfortable chains. My people have the knowledge to build faster ships, better computers, more efficient power systems. But the technology, Council forbids us from using that knowledge. She pulled up technical diagrams that made Yunji's eyes widen. The designs were clearly more advanced than anything humanity had seen. You've had this technology all along? For centuries, Nimvara confirmed. But we are only allowed to use what the Council approves. My people could have explored the galaxy, could have built great cities and advanced our science. Instead, we are kept at the level of a primitive civilization. How many other species are in the same situation? Yunji asked. Most of them. The galaxy contains over 200 intelligent species, but only the 5 council members are allowed to use truly advanced technology. The rest of us are kept weak and dependent. Nimvara stood up and began pacing around the room. When we heard about your antimatter ships, many of us saw hope for the first time in generations. If one species could break free from the Council's control, perhaps others could follow. That's why you contacted us? Yes, but also to warn you. The Council will never allow your species to exist freely. They would rather destroy Earth than risk another species achieving true technological independence. Unji felt a chill run down her spine. How many species would support us if we fought back? Nimvara pulled up another display, this one showing species loyalty throughout the galaxy. About half of the alien civilizations were marked in yellow. These species are unhappy with Council rule, but too afraid to act. If you could prove that the Council can be beaten, many of them would join you. And the others? Some are loyal to the Council because they benefit from the current system. Others are simply too afraid. But if you could free even a quarter of the suppressed species, you would have a powerful alliance. Hyunwoo leaned forward. What would you need from us to convince your people to join us? Proof that human technology really is superior. and assurance that you won't become the next architects if you win. Yunji nodded slowly. We can share our antimatter technology with your people. Show you how safe it can be when used properly. Nimvara's eyes lit up. You would do that? Give us technology instead of keeping it for yourselves? Knowledge should be shared, Yunji said. That's always been humanity's belief. The Council hoards technology to maintain power. If you truly believe in sharing knowledge freely, then you are the opposite of everything they stand for. The meeting continued for several more hours as Nimvara explained the political situation throughout the galaxy. By the time it ended, Yunji had a list of 12 species that might be willing to secretly support humanity. I must return before my absence is noticed, Nimvara said as they prepared to leave. But I will begin making contact with potential allies. Be careful, Yunji of Earth. The Council has many spies and they will kill anyone who threatens their power. As the human ship separated from the Kythera vessel, Yunji felt both hope and fear. Humanity was no longer alone in this fight. But they had also learned that the war was much bigger than they had imagined. They weren't just fighting for their own freedom, but for the freedom of hundreds of species throughout the galaxy. Set course for Earth, she told Hyunwoo. Admiral Kyungmin needs to know that we might have allies, and that the Galactic Council will never stop trying to destroy us. Supreme Executor Val Kresh stood in the command center of the massive Council flagship, watching reports flow in from across the galaxy. The human problem was getting worse with each passing day. What should have been a simple quarantine operation had turned into a major military crisis. How many ships have we lost so far? He asked his intelligence officer. 147 destroyed, Supreme Executor. Another 200 badly damaged. The humans continue to use their impossible speed advantage to attack and retreat before we can respond. Valkresh's four arms clenched in frustration. His species, the Zephyrians, had ruled the Galactic Council for over 1,000 years. They had conquered dozens of rebellious worlds and suppressed countless uprisings. But these humans were unlike any enemy they had ever faced. And how many human ships have we destroyed? 23 confirmed kills, sir, but they seem to be building new ships faster than we can destroy them. That was another problem. Human industrial capacity was beyond anything the Council had expected. Their antimatter technology didn't just make their ships fast, it made their factories incredibly efficient. They could build new warships in weeks instead of months. Supreme Executor called out his communications officer. We're receiving reports of rebellion in the Outer Rim sectors. Several client species are refusing to send additional ships to the human blockade. Valkresh turned toward the officer. Which species? The Kythera, the Morvani, and the Talaxians, sir. They claim their ships are needed for local defense, but our intelligence suggests they may be in secret communication with the humans. This was exactly what Valkresh had feared. The human rebellion was spreading beyond their solar system. If client species began to believe that the Council could be defeated, the entire galactic order would collapse. Send messages to all Council members, Valkresh ordered. We need the largest fleet in galactic history. Every available ship from every member species. The human threat must be ended permanently. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt around Jupiter, Commander Ji-Woo was leading a new type of human attack. Her squadron consisted of just 12 ships, but they carried the latest antimatter weapons developed by Dr. Bo-Ram's team on the moon. All ships, remember the plan, Ji-Woo spoke into her communication system. We're not just trying to damage their ships today. We're going to show them what antimatter can really do. Her target was a massive alien supply convoy that was bringing new weapons to the blockade fleet. The convoy was protected by over 50 warships, but Jiwoo's squadron had advantages the aliens couldn't match. Enemy convoy spotted, reported her sensor officer. They're moving in a tight defensive formation, Jiwoo smiled. Tight formations were exactly what her new weapons were designed to attack. All ships, begin attack pattern Omega. Remember, we only get one chance at this. The 12 human ships accelerated to nearly the speed of light and approached the alien convoy from 6 different directions. The enemy escorts tried to intercept them, but the human ships were moving too fast and changing direction too quickly. Fire antimatter cascade weapons, Jiwoo ordered. Each human ship launched a single missile, but these weren't ordinary antimatter torpedoes. Dr. Boram had discovered how to create a chain reaction that would spread from one target to another. The first missile hit an alien escort ship and exploded with tremendous force. But instead of stopping there, the explosion somehow jumped to the next nearest ship, then to the next one after that. Within seconds, the entire alien formation was being consumed by a wave of antimatter explosions. "What is happening?" screamed the alien convoy commander as his ships began exploding around him. "How are their weapons doing this?" Jiwoo watched with satisfaction as the entire enemy formation was destroyed in less than a minute. Her squadron had eliminated over 50 alien ships without taking a single hit in return. All ships, return to base, she ordered. Mission accomplished. But the most important part of the attack wasn't the destroyed ships. It was the message that Admiral Kyung-min had asked Jiwoo to broadcast on all alien communication frequencies. "This is Commander Jiwoo of the Earth Defense Fleet," she said. "What you have just witnessed is only a small demonstration of human antimatter technology. We do not wish to fight, but we will defend ourselves against any aggression. The galaxy has a choice: accept humanity as equals or face the full power of antimatter weapons." The message was received by alien fleets throughout the galaxy. For many species that had been suppressed by the Council for centuries, it was the first proof that the Council's military might could be challenged. On the Kithara homeworld, Nimvara watched the recording of the human attack with growing excitement. "Look at what they accomplished with just 12 ships," she said to her council of advisors. 12 ships destroyed 50 of the Council's best warships in 1 minute. "It's impressive," admitted her military advisor. "But the Council has thousands of ships. Can the humans really stand against the entire galactic military?" Nimvara pulled up the latest intelligence reports. "The humans are sharing their antimatter technology with trusted allies. 3 species have already begun building their own antimatter engines. Within a year, we could have hundreds of ships with this technology." The decision wasn't easy. Rebelling against the Council meant risking the destruction of the Kithara civilization. But remaining under Council control meant staying weak and suppressed forever. "Send a secret message to the humans," Nimvara decided. "Tell them that the Kithara people will join their cause." Similar conversations were happening on dozens of worlds throughout the galaxy. Species that had been afraid to challenge the Council for centuries were suddenly seeing hope for freedom. But Supreme Executor Val Kresh was not going to give up easily. In the Council's main military base, he was assembling the largest fleet in galactic history. "How many ships do we have now?" he asked his fleet coordinator. "Over 10,000 warships, Supreme Executor. Ships from all 5 Council species, plus forced contributions from client civilizations. We also have the new experimental weapons that our scientists have been developing." Val Kresh studied the fleet reports. It was an incredible armada. larger than any force ever assembled in galactic history. Surely even the humans with their antimatter technology couldn't stand against such overwhelming numbers. What about the experimental weapons? Reality disruptors, time dilation fields, and dimensional anchor points, sir. Technologies that have been forbidden for over 3,000 years. But the scientists believe they may be the only weapons that can counter human antimatter technology. Valkresh felt a chill of fear. The Council was about to use weapons that had been banned since the time of the Architects, but the alternative was allowing humanity to destroy the galactic order that had kept peace for millennia. Deploy the fleet to the human solar system, he ordered, and prepare the forbidden weapons for use. If we cannot contain the humans with conventional force, we will end this threat permanently. Back in Earth's solar system, Admiral Kyung-min was receiving reports about the massive alien fleet that was approaching. His intelligence officers estimated that the enemy would arrive within 2 weeks. "How many ships are we looking at?" he asked. "Over 10,000 confirmed vessels, Admiral. It's the largest military force in recorded galactic history." Kyung-min felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Humanity's entire future depended on the next battle, but they weren't facing it alone anymore. What about our allies? The Cathara have sent 200 ships with antimatter engines. The Morvani and Talaxians are sending fleets as well. Plus, we have intelligence reports that dozens of other species are considering joining us. Total numbers for our side? About 800 ships, sir. We're still heavily outnumbered, but all of our ships have antimatter technology now. The final battle for humanity's freedom was about to begin, but it had become much more than a fight for one species. It was a war that would determine whether the galaxy would remain under the Council's control or enter a new age of technological freedom.